Back in 2007, before the release of the original Skate, PSN Magazine asked the developers in an interview if they would be making a previous generation version, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and they said that the only systems capable of delivering their vision was the PS3 and the 360. Then about a year later, they announced Skate It, for two much less powerful systems, the Wii and the DS. I guess Skate was just so successful that they couldn't resist. But obviously this would mean some pretty huge compromises. And also lots of new opportunities. The Wii and the DS both had unique control options, and Skate was all about controls. So let's take a look and see what they were able to do. This week we'll look at the Wii version. Next week we'll try the DS version. So for anyone living under a rock who isn't familiar with the series, let me explain what it's all about. Skate is a mostly realistic skateboarding sim, following in the steps of Thrasher Skate and Destroy, and the Amped snowboarding series for Xbox. There are no ridiculous special tricks, you don't skate on dirt and grass, and there are no balance meters. The game rewards speed and style. It's worth more points to do a long, smooth flip-in, flip-out grind rather than a 10-trick combo with manuals. And because the game engine is set up this way, the challenges are realistic. Do this gap, grind this ledge. It's not about getting a million points in a giant combo. This is the most realistic skateboarding series out there with a lot of attention to detail. For example, a blunt slide will slow you down faster than a 50-50 grind. The Wii, unfortunately, is designed completely around motion controls. To do tricks, you actually pop your controller and twirl it around to try to copy the way they flip. It works, but not nearly as well as the analog control on other systems. I bought Skate It the day it came out on November 2008. About 2 weeks later, I traded it back in. It's been a while, so I wasn't sure what to expect when I started playing it again. So the Wii version is actually a spin-off, not a port. At the beginning of Skate 2, you find out there was an earthquake that messed up the city. That's the designer's excuse for making a new world to skate in. But Skate It takes place right after the disaster, and primarily that's an excuse for not having any people in the levels. But they made the best of it. You get to skate familiar spots, but with something new, like rubble making a new obstacle, or something knocked down that you can grind. One major change is the lack of an open world. Instead of one huge city, you have levels that you have to go to. They're based off of the best locations in Sandvan, but having to load every time you need to switch is kind of a pain. To make up for it, they added in a bunch of new locations like France, Rio, London, Shanghai, and other international locations. Yeah, it's kinda lame, but you can't really expect anything else on the Wii. So the story is Retta, the filmer, is hanging out in an abandoned city. He meets you there and you start filming together.
Yo, what's up, dude? You've been checking this place out? It's insane. Virgin territory, never seen. What's the matter? You don't talk much? That's all right. I talk a lot, man. I'll talk enough for both of us.
Pro skaters call Retta so he can go check out spots and make sure they're okay, like Rob Dyrdek's house or Danny Way's Mega Park. He films you at those spots, and then you start getting attention and eventually sponsors. The graphics in this game aren't too bad. They made characters more cartoony, which is kind of a strange choice since the game is a sim. But the animation, camera work, and stuff like that are all ripped from the 360 version, so they're good. The gameplay isn't quite as polished though. Every challenge has an option to own it or kill it, where you have some additional criteria, usually a higher score or a flip out instead of just landing, that kind of thing. I always went for the kill it objectives. If I accidentally owned the challenge, I'm stuck with an unskippable replay, even though I want to redo it. If you're quick, you can pause and retry, but the placement of the buttons on the Wiimote aren't really that accessible. One of the biggest things that needed attention is the power slides. You'll hate them after the first few challenges. You steer using the nunchuck attachment, but the second you tilt the joystick, you start to slide and turn way more than you expected. This happens all the time and messes everything up. Imagine trying to film a line, then right before the last trick, you spasm into an uncontrollable power slide and veer off into the wrong direction. You can make your wheels really soft, which is supposed to make sliding harder, but it doesn't really help. You'll battle with this the entire time you play.
It's begun.
There are also some random glitches. In this challenge, I had to do a grind on this ledge, and I kept doing blunt slides because of the angle I approached. Every now and then, it simply wouldn't count it. I would think that maybe it didn't like that it's a slide instead of a grind, technically, but it counts sometimes. You just have to keep an eye on the game and make sure it doesn't mess with you. And on one occasion, the game actually froze on me. And I fell through the level once, too. These things are generally pretty minor, though.
Oh!
Skate It has the same challenges and events as Skate 1, except for the games of Skate. I think they knew it would be very unfair, given how imprecise the flip trick controls are. Even after beating the game, if you asked me to do any specific trick, it might take me 5 or 10 tries. So there are film challenges, photo challenges, contests, and of course races. These are kind of annoying simply because I don't know how they work. In one round, it seems like your speed isn't that important because you gain time for tricks. But in the next round, your tricks don't help at all. You just have to finish the race and then see if your time gets adjusted to the top or not. It's kind of weird, but not nearly as bad as the DS version. Keep in mind that you're doing uncontrollable power slides the whole time, and you can imagine how much of a pain these are. Luckily, they're not too difficult. At certain times in your career, you'll also unlock sponsor challenges to get a deck, wheel, truck, and shoe sponsor. Retta gets calls from real-life pros, and you meet up with them in various cities and try to impress them. These vary in difficulty drastically. Terry Kennedy wanted me to grind on this ledge to get on ice cream shoes. Remember them?
See these ice creams?
And I did it first try. But to get on Alien Workshop, I had to flip in and flip out of a grind on this ledge, and clear the stairs. The game tells you you're at full speed after 3 pushes, but even after 4, I just couldn't get enough speed to clear it. It took me forever.
That was sick.
Keep at it for a while, and you'll eventually become Thrasher Skater of the Year by Thrasher magazine. You'll hear the name Thrasher 1,000 times while playing.
That's gonna go in Thrasher's Call of Me.
That's one thing I would have liked to see done a little different. The story is all about getting sponsorships and selling decks and making money, not really about achieving a skateboarding goal, like being the first person ever to do a trick or exploring other countries with a skateboard. The only point is to race your way to being a salesman for as many companies as you can. I understand that real pro skaters need sponsors, but in an idealized video game world, it might have been cool if they went a different route. The best part about the Skate series is the aftergame. You won Skater of the Year, sold 1 million decks, or whatever the goal for that particular game is, but you're nowhere near being done playing. The most fun part about the game is just skating around, finding spots that look good and figuring out a combo or a line, then doing it and filming it. There was a whole online community where you could share videos and browse stuff that other people posted. Skate It has none of that. There's still a replay mode, but it's incredibly bare bones. You can't move the camera or anything. When I first got the original Skate, I remember doing this certain trick. It was a varial heel flip late flip to blunt slide on a short handrail. You had just enough time to get that late flip if you timed it perfectly. And after about 100 tries, I finally got it, and I landed it clean. It felt great to do that, but in Skate It, you never really know what trick you're going to do. You can do what feels like the same motion over and over, and you'll do something different every try. Even if you could film stuff, the precision just isn't there. For example, after I beat the game, I realized I missed one of the tutorials. All I had to do was a nollie flip, nollie shove it, then nollie 360 shove it. It ended up being one of the hardest events in the game. I would do nollie inward heels or 360 flips, pretty much anything but the trick I was trying. In that sense, this game failed. Despite all the great choices they made in designing the game, it just doesn't have the things that make the other version so special. That's not to say they completely leave you hanging with post-career content though. After shooting the cover of Thrasher, I realized I was only 90% of the way through the game, despite killing all the challenges. So I opened up France and looked at the checklist. I had to manual 900 feet, no big deal. There are some big hills in the level, so I'll just manual down the hill, reset to the top, and do it again a few times. Well, for some reason it doesn't count manuals very well. The route I was doing was about 290 feet, so it should have been done in a few tries, but after about a dozen I was still at 50%. One time it counted correctly and it jumped up by 30%. I don't know what the problem was.
Slam a little harder, your shoes will fly off.
I also had to score 250,000 points. I got a good multiplier going and did the best tricks I could. It took about an hour to finally get it. You also have Hall of Meat challenges. In France, I had to break a certain number of bones, so I just jumped off of stuff and tried to land on my face for a half hour. I realized that the other versions of this game have these challenges too. The difference is, they'll happen more naturally, especially if you skate a lot after the career is complete. But since there's no real motivation to do that with Skate It, you end up targeting these milestones and doing tedious tasks repeatedly to get the percentage meter up just a little bit. After many hours of work, I finally reached 100%. You know what I got? A couple more clothing pieces for customization. Wow. This ended up being why I traded the game in so fast back in 2008. Once I beat it, it was more fun to mess around in Skate 1 for the 360, and Skate 2 was only a couple months away. So these days, with easy access to Skate 1, 2, and 3, is there any reason to play Skate It? Well, that depends. If you're a die-hard Skate fan who has been demanding Skate 4 for years, this might help tide you over for a little while. It's not as deep and engaging as the main versions, but there's a lot of fun to be had, and the playthrough will last you about 10 hours or more depending on how complete you want to be. And you can get a copy for about $5. It's a little tough to get used to the standard definition graphics again, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. The DS version? Oh, I don't know if I can be so charitable about that one. Check back next time to see my review of that. Or, if you're watching it in the future, it's available right here. Let me know what you thought about this game. Is it the best skateboarding game on the Wii? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, hit the like button below, and you can subscribe to make sure you see all of my videos as they come out. After that, here are a few more of my recent videos that you might like. Could you have been a pro skater in the 80s? Spoiler, probably not. And on the right, a review of the abysmal Tony Hawk HD.